Alright, so last week we were looking at solving trinomials when a equals 1, so the leading coefficient was 1. So this week we're looking at trinomials when a is larger than 1. So instead of x squared, it might be like 4x squared or 10x squared. Alright, it's going to be very similar to what we did last week. Alright, we're going to write the equation in standard form. We're going to factor the trinomial. We factored trinomials when a equals 0 a couple weeks ago. And then we're going to solve for x. Alright, so now we're going to focus on solving trinomials. Alright, so first thing we have to do is write this in standard form. It's not in standard form because it does not equal 0. Alright, so we have to add a 10x to this side and also positive 6 to this side. And this side as well. So we're going to end up with 6x squared minus 5x minus 1 equals 0. Alright, so now we have it in standard form. Alright, so now we have to factor this equation. So remember, in order to factor, we have to take a and multiply it by c. That's negative 6. And then we're taking this middle number here, b, putting it at the bottom of the diamond. So we need something that when you multiply together, it's going to equal negative 6. But when you add them together, it's going to equal negative 5. Alright, so let's think about all the factors of negative 6. We have 6 and 1. Alright, well, negative 6 times positive 1 is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Awesome. Alright, so now we're going to have to rewrite the equation. 6x squared minus 6x plus 1x minus 1 equals 0. Alright, so remember now we have to split it into two parts. So we have 6x squared minus 6x and 1x minus 1. Take out the greatest common factor from this side, so that's going to be a 6x. And when you take out a 6x, you're left with an x minus 1. Alright, let's look at this side. There's no greatest common factor, really, but there is a 1. So if we take out a 1, we're left with x minus 1. Alright, these two sides match up. Great. So we're left with 6x plus 1, because that's from that side, and x minus 1. So that is it in its factored form. Alright, so if we look at it, 6x plus 1 times x minus 1 equals 0. So let's solve for this one first. 6x plus 1 equals 0. 6x equals negative 1. Divide each side by 6. We're left with x equals negative 1/6. Okay. And on this side, x minus 1 equals 0. We're going to add 1 to each side. X equals 1. So x equals negative 1/6 and x equals 1. Alright, so let's look at this equation now. 3x squared plus 5 equals negative 3x, or negative 13x plus 1. Alright, like always, first thing we have to do is put it into standard form. So we're going to add a 13x to both sides. X squared plus 13x plus 5 equals 1. Alright, now we have to minus 1 from both sides. And we're going to be left with 3x squared plus 13x plus 4 equals 0. Alright, so now we have it in standard form. So now we can factor. Alright, so remember, 3 times 4 is 12. Middle number here is 13. So we need something that factors. So when you multiply them, you get 12, and when you add them together, you get 13. It's going to be 12 and 1, because 12 times 1 is 12. 12 plus 1 equals 13. Alright, so let's rewrite the equation. 3x squared plus 12x plus 1x plus 4 equals 0. Now we are going to split them. 3x squared plus 12x, 1x plus 4. Take out the greatest common factor. For this one, it's going to be 3x, and you're going to be left with x plus 4. Take out the greatest common factor here. It's just going to be a 1. X plus 4. Alright, you're going to be left with 3x plus 1 times x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so this is the factored form. Alright, so now we will have to solve for x. So we're going to get two numbers here. So let's solve this one first. 3x plus 1 equals 0. 3x equals negative 1. X equals negative 1/3. Most of the time on Delta Math, one of the equations is going to be a fraction. At least one of the numbers. Alright, so let's do this one now. X plus 4 equals 0. X equals negative 4. Alright, so our two answers is x equals negative 4. X equals negative 1/3. There you go. When you're on Delta Math, just make sure when you put in the answer, it doesn't matter which one you do first, put a comma, and that's how you'll get, how you'll be able to put in two numbers on Delta Math. Make sure you put in a comma. That is how you solve trinomials when a, or the leading coefficient, is more than 1.